On this great Sunday, I want to share a principle that I think is extremely important, as we are on our journey to greatness in life. Timing is one of the greatest things that I think, or concepts that I think that, especially in this day and age, that we overlook. Timing. When we are fighting for our goals, and we're working towards our goals, and we of course, and me included, we constantly think about the end result. When am I going to be able to sing with this person? Or when is my business going to make $1 million? Or when am I going to have 500,000 subscribers? And when am I going to be able to get this big house? And all these things that we think about. But timing is essential. It's in nature. Even there's a time to plant. There's a time of the year, depending on where you live, there's a time to plant, and there's a time where you can bring in the harvest. It's always about timing. And two characters in the Bible that I think I want to mention, to really solidify what I'm trying to say. And the first person is David. David was back with the sheep. God sent prophet Samuel, to go anoint him to be the next king. And first of all, he wasn't even included in the lineup. It was crazy. He was not included in the lineup when Samuel showed up. And Samuel first thinking, in the way that he thought, probably the way things were at that time, especially when it came to the firstborn. He was looking at the sons that Jesse showed him, or was lined up for him. David wasn't there yet. And when Samuel saw the first son and second son, he was surely yes, because he's tall, he's this, he's that. And there was a key element that he was overlooking, was the heart. And so finally David came, and God showed him that David was the next king. But you need to understand something. David didn't leave with Samuel that day. David had to go back to the sheep, and I'm going to explain why he had to go back to the sheep. When you are destined for something that's great, when you are destined to take care of and oversee doesn't mean you're a slave master, but oversee people and take care of people and serve people. There is a time where God has to take you through a season of maturity, and you can also get understanding, and you can also build up stamina, and you can also continue to learn, and so that God can shape your thinking. Because how many times have we see people end up in leadership roles that they weren't ready for, and it was a disaster? David was destined to be the next king, to serve God's people, and so he had to go back to those sheep. And it was some time. I think the first time he became king over a certain particular area, I believe he was 30, right? But I think he didn't become king over the entire thing until maybe, I'm not really sure, 32, something to that effect. I have to read it again. But his rule didn't come until later. There was a season time. Then he, of course, but the story, took down Goliath. He was always beating down the Philistines. There was a season of time of training, before he could sit on the throne. And what I want you to understand is that your throne time is coming. The time is coming where you will be crowned. But stay in that place of where God can continue to shape you, and to shape your thinking and shape your mind, because it will make a difference when you are finally in that position where God has already ordained for you to be. All right. The next person is Joseph. We know the story is not Joseph, Yeshua's father, but Joseph, the one that was sold into slavery. First, he wanted to kill him, his brothers, because he kept telling them his dreams, how they was bowing down to him, and his father favored him, and his brothers wanted to kill him at one point, but eventually sold him into slavery. He ended up in Potiphar's house, was faithful, and the house was blessed. There was a time of maturity. Now, he could have slept with Potiphar's wife and probably got away with it, but he knew something about honor. And you have to understand about how God promotes in the kingdom. There's a season of time, there's a season of maturity, and when God knows that you're ready, your heart is ready. It's not that you're perfect, but when he knows that you're ready, he will place you right in the right place. And of course, at the end of the day, he was second in command. Joseph, that is, was second in command to Pharaoh. and what he was over was so important because there was a famine coming, and they needed to make sure that food was available. And what he did, was so powerful and kept so many people alive from starving to death, and also had a chance to save his own family. The very people, some of the very people that wanted to kill him and sold him into slavery. But there was a time of maturity before he rose to second in command. There was a time of maturity before David was crowned king. And so what you need to understand is that position that you're going to end up in, that place where you're going to end up in, is very important. There are people going to look to you. There are people that are going to be under you. There are people who are going to look to your wisdom. They're going to be looking at what you do, how you handle yourself. They may not ask you anything, but they're looking at you. And that season of time that God gave you to mature will come in handy, and you will be prepared for it. And so I want to leave you with that mindset. Don't be afraid. If I had to name this, or if I had to give you some type of title, don't be afraid of the timing. Don't be afraid of the maturing, of the time of maturity. And don't be afraid even if it takes some time, because God is preparing you for something great. And I believe even if you don't believe in God, that you can take something from this, just about that piece about timing. And it is essential and it is important. All right. So thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you're having a wonderful, amazing day. If you're not having an amazing day, you can change that by your mindset. Thanks so much. Tony King out.